Welcome to the Crunch Time Instagram Live podcast, hosted by me, Benjamin Bullock. This podcast features nothing but real talk analysis and conversations about sports, entertainment, news, and much more. Now, strap in and buckle your seatbelts because it's time for Crunch Time.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Crunch Time right here on my IG Live. I'm Benjamin Bullock. Thank you all for joining me today. Excited about today's episode. Last week we talked about the NCAA and the problems that they're going through with COVID. Previous week we talked about the NBA. So this week we're going to be talking about the NFL, which I'm very excited about. Just to give you a quick rundown of what we got going tonight in terms of who's going to be the special guest. First, I'm going to have John Battle. He's the safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I know him through my LSU days when I worked there, and he was a student athlete there. Second, we'll have Derek Eagleton, the director of media and programming for the Dallas Cowboys, my former employer, and he's also my former supervisor, and he's also my frat brother. Shout out to all the bros out there that's going to be listening and checking out tonight's episode. And then lastly, I'll have the LA Rams cornerbacks coach, Aubrey Pleasant. He's going to join me last. He's all the way out there in LA, so I'm excited to get this show going. I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight, and if you guys have any questions for any of my guests, go ahead and drop it down right there in the comment section, and we're just going to get going here in a second. I hope y'all doing good. So I'm just going to hop on here and going to add John. He's already on here, and we'll just get started here real quick. Big John, what's up, boy?
What's going on? What's going
chilling,
on?
Bro. What's going on, man?
Man, chilling.
Man, how's everything out there in Pittsburgh, man?
Oh, man, it's lovely, man. It's a beautiful city. The facility's nice. They got some good things going for us. So,
right.
I'm pretty excited, man, to get things rolling.
Man, I know it ain't too cold up there right now. It ain't
It's perfect. It's perfect right now. It's perfect weather right now.
Appreciate it, bro. Before we get into it, man, I just want to talk about, do a little LSU talk here real quick, man. I mean, I know you was down there at the game this year when they beat Clemson. They beat them all up and everything. What was that like to see, man?
Man, it was crazy. That was my first game back as an alumni. So that experience alone was just like different. And then for that to be, the national championship game, it was crazy, man. It was great. First of all, just to see everybody again, see the whole coaching staff, see all my former teammates, and just see the trainers, see Mama Shelly, Jack, all the, equipment guys. You know how I was, I was the program guy. So, I pretty much built a relationship with everybody, from man, I just built a relationship with everybody. So it was just kind of like a family union, just to see everybody, again. And man, it was awesome. I felt like I won, I'm gonna get my ring. I got to tell G-String to get my ring. Nah, it was a blast.
That's great, man. I don't know if you saw the video I had posted today on my social, man. I had posted your locker room speech from the Florida game. I think it was your senior year. And I think the week before, that's when y'all lost to Troy. And I remember just from working the game, working the sidelines and everything, you straight up lit it to the team after they lost to Troy. And I was outside of the locker room. Then the following week, you guys came back and beat Florida, which kind of turned the season completely around.
Yeah. That Troy loss, that was a tough one. I ain't gonna lie, it was a tough one. But I just felt that at that time, that was the right thing to do. As a leader, on the team, that it was something that had to be said. So I thought that was the perfect opportunity to say something. So it all worked out for the best.
It definitely did, man. Just to see the program come from that loss, and then y'all beat Florida next week, just to see win a national championship. This year, I think it was just so crazy to me, man, just because I saw everything happen.
Yeah, the growth. Yeah, you see the growth of it. Yeah, definitely.
Crazy, bro. It's crazy, bro. So let's hop into this thing, man. So with the Pittsburgh Steelers right now, y'all had no offseason, man. It's been crazy due to COVID and all this other stuff. So what's your offseason been like, man? Like no football-related activity in terms of hitting or anything like that?
Yeah. Man, it's been crazy. So I've been working out, I'm from Miami, so I've been working out down in Davie, Florida at Perform. So my guys, Zach and Nick, they pretty much been with me the whole quarantine. So they just been getting me right, from speed training to football agility drills, to strength and conditioning. So, I came back, I felt like I was in tip-top shape. I feel like I am in tip-top shape. But it was definitely a challenge, this offseason, not having OTAs, not being able to, be out there to, run around with the guys and get a feel, especially being on a new team. Walkthroughs are important. Just little small football things are important. And it's something that, that I didn't have, this off season, but, we just got to hit the ground running, whenever that time is.
Right. So how was the meetings and the Zoom calls and all that?
Oh man, it was different. It was different. It was different. Especially, like I say, me joining a new organization. So, just trying to, get, a team rapport, understand, how they want things done, understand, the rules and the layout of the land. And just trying to, build a rapport with my teammates at the same time, and trying to do that, through a Zoom meeting, is definitely something that was challenging. But I mean, the guys are cool, man. The coaching staff is great. It's a great organization. It's a historical organization. So I'm just ready for it. I'm humbled and excited for the opportunity.
Yeah. So how are you able to simulate game action? Because I know you're doing a lot of ball drills, but you can't really line up in an 11-man defense to go against
right. Yeah, I mean, actually, man, I was literally just walking the film and just simulating different movements. So, I had one of my guys that was actually a Florida Gator. We went to high school together, Josh Hammond. We would do some one-on-ones and stuff, just to kind of, stay in shape. But, I would, if I was by myself, I would, actually simulate the receiver in front of me taking the right steps, me coming down and filling the hole. Yeah, so little things like that.
I got you. So what's the mood around the league, man? Just kind of talking to your teammates and your old LSU guys. And I know because a lot of guys have opted out not to play this year due to COVID.
Yeah, it's been crazy. Talking to all my teammates, from LSU and all the guys that I met, across just my journey in the NFL. Guys are, some guys are in, some guys are out. It's just been a tough situation. Everybody's handling it differently, of course. But it's definitely an unease feeling, going into it, especially a lot of guys are scared of the nose swap. And it's man, I don't want anybody in my brain and stuff, man. It's man, I'm not trying to do it every day. But I don't know, man. It's been something that, we'll have to get used to. This is our new norm for right now. So, I mean, it is what it is.
Have you talked to Arian at all? Arian Springs, who actually tested positive for COVID. How's his spirits and everything like that?
I haven't get a chance. I actually just found out that today. I checked Twitter and I was, oh man, I didn't even know. That's crazy. But I got to send him a text later to see how he's doing. But I'm pretty sure that he's up in spirit for the most part. Okay,
now big different that's going to be. I mean, big difference that's going to happen this season is that there's not going to be any preseason games. You know what I mean? For a guy in your position, you can do good in practice, but you also have to position that to the field when the lights come on. So how's that kind of put you in a different predicament, obviously?
Man, I mean, me being new to organization, it's definitely going to be something that's going to be challenging. Just trying to, like I say, not having OTAs and picking up the system. And, that time during preseason is when you can display your actual, talent, your skill level. It's kind of tough to do that in a simulated practice with people not trying to, really have physical contact, especially with the virus, trying to limit that as much as possible. So it's definitely going to be a challenge. I know I'm not the only person that has to go through it. So, I mean, we all in it together right now. So, I mean, whatever, however we can get the job done, I'm going to figure out a way, trying to maneuver through and get it done.
Right. This is John Battle, safety for the Pittsburgh Steelers, also former LSU Tiger. I know you were a beast on special teams back when you was in Baton Rouge, man. Yeah. So I know you plan on making a splash with that, during practice, but it's going to be tough because, not a lot of hitting's going on. You can't be as physical as you want to. A little worried about that kind of that aspect?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I am. It's something that, me being I'm a bubble guy, so to say. So, I mean, it's definitely going to be a challenge that's in front of me. Absolutely. That I'm aware of. And, I just got to do what I have to do, to find a way, to make this ball club, man. Whichever way that is, if I got to, fight, scratch, claw, whatever, I'm kind of find a way, man. Got to find a way.
Right. This is John Battle from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's a safety there. If you have any questions for John, go and drop it in the comment section. I have a couple more for John. Hey, John, I know when I was there in Baton Rouge, you really developed into a really good photographer, man. So what's the update on that? What's going on?
Man, got my, never too far from it. Got my camera right here.
Got the Canon rolling with you, huh?
Yeah, got my. I'm actually thinking about either switching to a Sony or building on this camera. I haven't decided on what I want to do yet. My birthday is coming up, August 21st. Anybody want to give me a gift? I'm gonna drop my cash out.
Drop today.
Yeah, I seen that. So
yeah.
I'm kind of in between. I don't know if I want to build on this camera because it's kind of like my pride and joy. It's my first camera. I learned from it and just trying to. I don't know, but that Sony, man, it's something about that Sony. It's mirrorless. You can do video. It's a great quality of a camera. But I don't know. I mean, whenever I get to that point, I'll probably make the decision there. But for right now, I think I'm gonna stay with my old faithful right here.
There you go. Can't go wrong with the Canon, bro.
Yeah. Canon's it's the best, man. It's the best.
Absolutely, man. So I got a question for you from our frat brother Calvin Ali out of the Baltimore, Maryland area. He says, "Who's the hardest you ever had to cover in your career so far? That can be high school, college, or pro."
I'm gonna give you. I do my high school and I do college. It's a guy named from South Florida, Stacy Coley. He went to the University of Miami. I think he's with the Minnesota Vikings now. Last time I heard, I'm not too sure, but he was a dog. he was a straight up dog. He's the number one wide receiver in the state. We played against him. I was I was a junior at the time, so he's a 5-star cat, and I'm a guy that's trying to get my name up. So he tore me up a little bit in the beginning. I'm not gonna lie, he tore me up a little bit in the beginning. Had time, went back in the locker room, had to get my head right, and then it was pretty much on from there. And college, I would say I'll have to say Calvin really. He's another South Florida guy. Been going at him since Little League. Man, the crazy thing about him is just his stop-start ability. He's one of those guys that can run full speed and stop on a dime, and that's hard to do, just in itself, and to be backpedaling and doing that.
It's crazy, bro. Yeah. What about in the pros, man? I know you were with Tampa Bay, so guys like Mike Evans.
Ooh,
I know that was crazy.
Man, I tell you what,
Marquise Goodwin.
Those two, man, it was something special to see. Just being with those two guys, both Pro Bowlers, just to see, see their work ethic, how they always catch a ball and they always finishing, everything they do. Man, I'll probably say Mike, man. A lot of people don't realize how fast Mike Evans is.
Right.
Man, he can cover 10 yards on like 3 steps. It's like it's unbelievable. It's the reason why he's getting paid, what he's getting paid, So,
right.
I'll probably say those are my 3 right there. I'll probably say Stacy Coley, Calvin Ridley, and I'll say Mike Evans.
I got you, man. They all 3 great dudes. I remember when we played Bama, man, just watching Calvin just kind of warm up. Like you said, his stop and start direction is crazy. And
it's crazy.
Got the breaks and everything. It was absolutely crazy, man. Hey, John, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. I know you're up there in Pittsburgh. You're getting your mind right to do whatever you need to do to be a part of the Pittsburgh Steelers organization this season, man. Thank you again, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate it, Ben. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
All right, man. I'll get at you, all right?
All right.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. That was John Battle, safety from the Pittsburgh Steelers, former LSU Tiger. That's how our connection came about. So shout out to him for joining me. Up next, I got Derek Eagleton, my frat brother of the Dallas Cowboys. He's the senior director of media and programming for America's team, and he's been one of my biggest role models, one of my biggest idols since I got started in this business. And I was lucky enough to work for the Dallas Cowboys, and he was my supervisor while I was a producer up there in Frisco at the start. I'm going to go ahead and add him real quick. There you go. Big Derek, what's up, man?
What's up, dog? How you doing, man?
Why we looking like we kind of look like cousins or brothers? Or
I don't know, maybe.
Maybe. And everything.
Maybe. What's up with you, man?
Man, I'm good, man. Just trying to make this thing work. Man, how you doing? Everything good up there in Frisco at the Star?
Yeah, man, it's good. Now, I haven't been at the Star because we've been at home, so I've been chilling at my house with my family, working from here. So I don't know what the Star looks like right now, but we'll be back soon. I'm assuming.
I know you was in the Oxnard right now though, so you can feel that breeze.
Yeah, man. I've been with the Cowboys now since '99, so I'm used to every year at this time being gone somewhere, whether it was Oxnard or Wichita Falls or San Antonio, somewhere.
Right.
So I think my family's getting a little tired of me too. They like, man, you need to get back to work out of the house. So yeah, I do miss that cool breeze though. You know, I like to run, so I'm missing running out here in these 80-degree temperatures in the morning in Dallas.
Right.
So yeah.
Now, you know it'd be hot. It was nice last night. It was about 75 last night, man. So,
yeah, I did get a run in yesterday morning. It was actually much better, about 75 in the morning. So I can't complain about that right now.
That's good, man. So have things changed for your department, man? You know, now that COVID, we're pretty much in the middle of this pandemic. So, but y'all standards don't change. It's always going to be a high standard for content for the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, man, we've been busy. It's crazy because I was telling someone, it's like right now, this offseason, we've probably been busier than we've been in any other offseason I've been with the Cowboys. Just because if you can imagine it, the way it goes is before our organization has a lot of events that we put on that happen at the Star, happen at the stadium. Well, when COVID came and everybody stuck at home, not only do we have the normal content that we're producing, but now all those events now become virtual. And so my team has been responsible for making sure that we're helping and putting together some of those types of events. A good example would be our draft live show that we did, where we had Jamie Foxx and we had DeMarcus Ware on, and they were hosting the show. But that's an event that was originally going to be a draft party at the stadium, which is what we do every year. And obviously, because of COVID, we couldn't do it that way. And so, as you know from working with the Cowboys, then we always think, okay, so how can we make it better? How can we do something that's really cool? And so it became a whole different project in addition to everything that we were doing, getting ready for our draft coverage. So it's just been a lot of that. It's been our normal coverage, and then it's layered on top of that with a lot of events that would have normally been offline that are now virtual that we're responsible for putting together.
Man, I know just kind of looking from afar, you guys are doing a great job per usual in terms of all the TV shows and the podcasts, which I already know how everything goes down, and y'all doing a phenomenal job in terms of keeping everything up to date. So fast forward to right now, you know, training camp's pretty much here, but 2 players from the Cowboys actually opted out not to play this year due to COVID, man. So what's your thoughts on that?
You know, I personally wouldn't knock anybody for deciding that they didn't want to play. Obviously, everyone has different considerations. You know, if you've got underlying medical conditions, if you've got new babies, if you've got a situation where you have family members that rely on you, that you need to be in close contact with, who may have extenuating medical conditions. There are a lot of things that could cause someone to say, hey, this just isn't the right time. I don't feel right about it. I just can't do it, even with all the protocols that are in place. And so, you know, I think it's a personal decision. I think everybody has a right to make that decision. I think the NFL and the NFLPA did a good job of coming up with a method to be able to allow those people to have, those players to have some money coming in, even if they decide to opt out, that can kind of bridge the gap for them. And by the way, there are a lot of people out there right now in our world that don't have that kind of gap bridged. You know, there are a lot of people that lost jobs that really don't have a way to make ends meet right now. So that's really a blessing for those players. And again, great work by the NFL and the NFLPA to figure that part out. But, you know, again, that's an option that they have. And I certainly am not going to disparage anyone for taking that option when they feel like it's the right thing for them and their families.
Absolutely, man. This is Derek Eagleton, Senior Director of Media and Programming for the Dallas Cowboys. If you have a question for Derek, go and drop it in the comment section. I'm going to get to that here in a little bit. All right, Derek, let's transition a little bit to the gridiron, man. Is this the most excited or intriguing team you've been a part of or seen, considering coaching change, free agency, different angle on that, and also the draft with CeeDee Lamb?
I'm intrigued. It's not the most intrigued I've been. I would say the most intrigued I was back in 2005 You had Parcells come in 2003. He gets that team quarterbacked by Quincy Carter to a 10-6 record in the playoffs. And then a couple years later, 2005, they had that amazing draft, which I believe it's certainly been the best draft, in my opinion, that the Cowboys have had since I've worked for them, where you had people like DeMarcus Ware, Marcus Spears, Marion Barber, Chris Canty, Jay Ratliff. You get Jay Ratliff late in the draft, right? And he turns out to be an all-pro, Pro Bowl type player. So, you pull all that talent together, and you got the genius of Parcells going into that year. That was probably the most intrigued I was with any Cowboys team since I've been here. But don't get me wrong. There's a lot of intrigue to go around right now. You look at this coaching staff, and they got a lot of experience. They got a lot of guys who've been head coaches that are on this staff. You got a head coach that's won a Super Bowl, and then obviously that offense. I was just went back the other day and I looked back I started my little review here. Before we get into the season, I usually like to go back and review some of the previous games from the past year, all the games from the past year. And I went back to watch that Giants game and just the way that offense operated in that first game of the season. Now, of course, as we got through the season, there were lots of challenges that they faced, and they didn't play well in a lot of games. But the fact of the matter, that game, that offense was cranked. And I look at it like I really think that's what I'm looking at as the upside of this offense. I think you give them a new coach, give them a new direction. You give them a little bit of the enthusiasm that sometimes comes with a new coach. Yeah. And then I think you look at the offensive weapons that they have that are returning in addition to CeeDee Lamb. Like I just think everything points to this offense being really, really electric this year. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. And hopefully that's enough with an opportunistic defense that they can actually make something happen.
I'm a little worried about, let's stick with the offensive side of the ball. I'm a little worried about the offensive line, to be honest with you. Obviously, Tyron Smith, one of the best offensive linemen in the game, he's been banged up a lot. He's coming up on his 10th season. And then that left guard spot, you got Connor McGovern coming off an injury going into his second year. Kind of really don't know what they're going to do at left guard. And they also have Connor Williams right there as well. He's coming off an injury. Center, they got Joe Looney there. They just drafted the kid out of Wisconsin as well. Then you got Zach Martin. He's been injured, banged up the last few years. And obviously Lyle Collins, who had a phenomenal year last year. That's my only really concern when it comes to the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I understand the concern. The one thing I'll say about that, though, is you tell me an offensive line that has Tyron Smith, Zach Martin, and Lyle Collins, and I don't care what else they got, I'm going to be like, that's an offensive line that's probably better than 70% of the offensive lines in the league. So if you go from that standpoint, then if they can get just solid production from a guy like Joe Looney at the center position, maybe even better, but at least solid production. Connor McGovern is a guy they were really high on. And again, this is being somewhat optimistic that he will be what you need him to be. Then maybe you can get something to work. I just tend to believe that this offensive line, I don't see any decline in Zach Martin. I think Zach Martin is Zach Martin. He's going to continue to be one of the best guards in the league. I think Lyle Collins will continue. He's in the prime of his career. I don't expect him to slow down anytime soon as well. Maybe Tyron is not what he once was. I still think Tyron is among the best tackles in the league. He may not be the best, but he's among the best. So from that standpoint, I'm not really so worried about the offensive line. To be honest with you, the offense, I'm not really concerned about the offense at all. All my concerns are on the defensive side of the ball, because that's the place where all the question marks are. You want to start talking about injuries and stuff like that. That's where you got question marks. So I'm way more concerned about the defense than I am the offense. I'm on what our guys on our draft show call the 40 burger team. Like every game they need to be putting up 40 points, and I think this offense might be able to do it. But I'm way more concerned about the defense than I am the offense.
So they added Jerry McCord, they added Dontari Poe, who's actually on PUP, got added to PUP today. Tyron Crawford, he's on PUP as well. But we got Leighton Vander Esch coming back, Jalen Smith. And on the back end, we added Clinton Dix, Reggie Robinson from Tulsa. So they added some pieces on that defense to hopefully make it better, in addition to possibly interchanging between a 3-4 defense and a 4-3.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be a hybrid. I think they're going to be a team that will run out and give you different fronts in different situations, which they're not the only team in the NFL that would do that. But, I look at this defense, and I think they just have to be an opportunistic defense. They don't need to be great. They need to be opportunistic. If you have an offense that's really as explosive as I think they will be, and can score a lot of points, then what you need is the kind of defense that complements that. Give them a lead, and they can get really aggressive, and they can come after the quarterback, and they can turn that pressure. If they can get pressure, they can turn that pressure into turnovers. And that's how you put teams away. And so I think with guys like Tank Lawrence, kind of rushing the passer, I think Gerald McCoy adds something to the pass rush as well. He's a guy that can get some sacks. He can get some pressure. I think if Aldon Smith can give him anything, which, he's the one guy that not many people are talking about, but if he can give him anything as a pass rusher, specifically on pass rush downs, then I think you might have yourself a nice little pass rush there coming. I think Jalen Smith adds something from the linebacker position in the pass rush as well when they want to blitz him. And so I think from that standpoint, they do have the kind of defense maybe that can be opportunistic and create some turnovers in certain situations. And if they can do that, and if this offense can score a lot of points, then they can be successful. If they're in a bunch of dogfights where it's close games and they're relying on the defense to get stops, I'm not certain. That's not what we saw from this defense last year.
No.
So we'll have to wait and see if they can do that. I'm not saying they can't. What I'm saying is I didn't see that last year. So can they do that this year? Can they find a way to be able to make those stops when they need to if they get in that situation? I feel much more comfortable saying they're the kind of defense that can be opportunistic, though.
You know where I'm much comfortable with, or with what aspect I'm much more comfortable with? Special teams. Because we all know that was an
You feel good about the kicker?
Year. We got Greg Zerline now.
He had a rough year last year. Wasn't his best.
But he's coming in with, so we got Maher out of there last year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. But I'm really excited about the addition of John Fossil. I think he's going to bring in a whole new philosophy in terms of being more strategic and being more advanced in terms of what they can do in that specific side of the football.
Yeah, I actually agree with you on that. I think the special teams will be improved mainly because I think the coach coming in, Fossil, I think he's considered among the very best in the league. And I think that makes a difference on special teams. I think having a good special teams coach, somebody that's experienced doing it, I think makes a huge difference. And I think that'll matter for the Cowboys. I think last year there were some moments when they had some miscues that this year I expect they wouldn't have with a more experienced special teams coach. So we'll see. But, the kicker still is the kicker. And, kickers go through these moments. But we've seen this. Kickers go through these moments when they just kind of get – it's kind of like, the golfer with the yips, right? You just have those moments when you can't get right. And then it becomes a situation of it getting in your head, and can you break out of that? And so I'm waiting to see what's going to be the case with Zerline. If he gets everything right and he gets back on track, he's been one of the best kickers in the league at times, right? So yeah, he has the ability. Question is, was last year an aberration, or was it something that he's going to continue to struggle with? So that'll be interesting to follow and figure out once we get into the season.
As long as it's not no Mike Vanderjagt type of situation, we're good, man. We got to worry about that, man. So this is Derek Eagleton from the Dallas Cowboys. If you have any questions for him, go and drop it in the comment section. Derek, I got a couple more questions for you. This question is, so what is it going to absolutely take for the Cowboys to finally make a deep playoff run, or at least get to the NFC Championship game, in your opinion?
I mean, it goes back to what I said earlier. I think the offense is going to have to score a lot of points. I think the defense is going to have to be opportunistic. I think Dak's going to have to play really well, especially in games against good teams. Last year, we saw some really good football from Dak in moments and in spurts. What I think that's going to have to be way more consistent from the standpoint of that being – there are going to be some games this year where it's just not going to click. That happens to every team. Like, you can't be perfect every game. By the way, unless you're Pat Mahomes, like, I'll just put that caveat out there. He's a whole different level. But unless you're Pat Mahomes, there are going to be some games where it just doesn't click. And those games, the defense is going to have to step up and pull its weight. But I think consistently, Dak's going to have to be far more often than not. He's going to have to be the reason why they win. And I think that, especially looking at how McCarthy ran his team with Green Bay, there's going to be a lot of pressure on him, I would assume, to do that. And so I think Dak's built for it, though. The one thing you can say about Dak since the time he got to the Cowboys, he is not phased. Pressure does not affect him. He's a guy that is mentally as tough as they come. So I think he's built for this, and I think Dak can handle that. And by the way, one of the things about, you want to start talking about contracts and stuff like that. One of the things about having a quarterback and paying a quarterback a ton of money on a long-term deal is you have to be prepared to then lose other talent. And if that's the case, it's a good time for Dak to show, I got all this talent, I can do amazing things with this talent, because if you have to pay me a really, really, really nice contract, which is what he's pushing for, it may mean I may have less talent. We saw it happen with Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson stepped up to the challenge and still has his team in the playoffs and contending every year. That's even with less talent than he used to have. So I think this is a great opportunity for Dak to be able to show that he has that ability. And again, I think he's built for it. I think Dak can do that.
Okay. I got one question for you. This is kind of along the lines of what you were just talking about. This is from our frat brother, my pro fight, Calvin Eileen, out of Baltimore, Maryland. He said, what would you pay Dak since the Mahomes deal dropped? And he also wants to know, what's the next media podcast for this upcoming season?
All right, I'll answer the podcast one first. We should get our podcast rolling again once we get to the open practices that the team will have where we're able to watch practice. It sounds like around the NFL, the 17th is a date where people are going to be putting on pads. I don't know if they're going to give media access prior to that, but just know at whatever point we get that kind of access to where we're out of practice daily, or being able to at least watch practice daily, then we'll start back up our podcast. So we at least have something to say when we get on air, something new to say every day. But what was it? Oh, the question about Dak and what he should be paid. That's a tricky question because there's so many factors. Everybody always wants to just look at the number, like of what he's getting annually. And to me, there's so many other factors involved in that. Like, you start talking about how the contract is structured and how much money is guaranteed and all that kind of stuff. I don't think it's a simple answer. I honestly think because of the way the contracts work, he's probably going to end up being paid at the upper end. I don't think he's going to get Pat Mahomes money, but I think he's going to be on the upper end of quarterbacks. Yeah. Maybe he's right there around Russell Wilson, and maybe he's not. Maybe he's a little bit below that. I think he definitely deserves to be on par, if not ahead of the guys like Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. I think he's done as much, arguably more great work at quarterback than those guys have. Then you start questioning, kind of does he belong ahead of Russell Wilson? Maybe not from the standpoint of play, but then that's when you get into the whole idea that whoever's turn it is up next, they usually set the market. And so that becomes a part of the negotiation. And the one thing I know about working for the Cowboys, they are tough negotiators. And so they're going to negotiate this thing hard. And it sounds like, and it looks like from what we've seen, Dak's side is going to negotiate it hard as well. So I personally don't believe that Dak's going to get away, though. At whatever point they figure it out, they're going to figure it out because I've been around here, like I said, since '99. I lived through the years between Troy Aikman and Tony Romo. I don't think that the Cowboys want to go back to those days. I really don't. And so if they feel like, as they said, that Dak is a part of their future plans and that they believe in Dak, then I feel like at some point they're going to all figure it out and they're going to get a deal worked out. And whatever the money is, it's going to work for both sides.
Absolutely, man. We'll see what happens, man. I think we'll see what happens after the season because he's on that franchise tag right now. And I think he'll end up resigning, but you never know. Somebody could throw a whole bunch of Mahomes money at him. He'll probably be the first thing smoking out of him, man.
Well, the thing about it is Cowboys still can put him on the franchise again next year and do it at a rate that's probably doable. It's roughly about $37, $38 million that they'd have to pay him next year. So they could franchise him again next year if they choose to. But again, my hope is that at the end of this season, they all realize, okay, if Dak wants to be here and the Cowboys want him to be here, then there's a deal to be made. Anytime you got two parties that want the same outcome, there's a deal to be made. And so my hope is that they get that deal done because I think Dak trying to go back to the well doesn't sound fun to me. Like I don't want that headache because then you got to get really bad in order to find the right quarterback, and sometimes that doesn't even work. So I just don't want to go through that as a fan and as a person who covers the team. I'd rather be contending every year because it's a lot more fun.
I understand, man. Well, D, man, appreciate you hopping on with me, man. Taking time out of your busy schedule. Say hello to the wife, your daughter, and your son for me, man. We'll talk soon, okay, man?
You do the same, man. Appreciate you having me.
Hey, thank you, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, later.
Yes, sir. All right, y'all. That was Derek Eagleton of the Dallas Cowboys, the Senior Director of Media and Programming for the America's team. Just thank him for hopping on with me. So up next, I got Coach Aubrey Pleasant. He's the cornerbacks coach for the LA Rams. So he's out there chilling in sunny Cali right now. So we'll just see what happens with them this season. And I'm about to add him right now. Aubrey, what's up, man?
Yeah, what's going on, Ben? How you doing,
Not
brother?
much, man. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Enjoying my time out here in LA, trying to stay COVID free. Got a lot of blessings. It's too much to be happy about. No complaints, man.
I feel you, man. You from Flint, Michigan, so I know I know you enjoying that sunny weather out there, man.
I'm taking all the sunshine I can get. I actually went back home to Flint, spent about 2 weeks there this summer.
Nice.
And I just remember that Midwest heat in the summertime. I don't want nothing to do with it. And I'm happy
smack
to be
you,
out
don't
in LA right now. It's different. For as cold as it gets in the wintertime, you would have never expect for the Midwest to get nasty in the summertime, but it does, man. It gets real nasty around that 4th of July.
It does, man. Hey, man, thank you so much for hopping on with me, man. I know busy time right now. Y'all just right about to get in the thick of things with the players support and all that.
Yeah, you're getting ready to go. As we all know, man, it's been crazy. Nobody knows when things are going to happen, when things are going to start, whether the guys are going to opt out and play or not. But as things come closer, I think we're all happy with the solution that we're all going to be patient, be as healthy as we can, and then try to get this season going.
Right. So what's been your approach this offseason, man? Because you haven't seen the guys. You haven't been able to work on no techniques, no bump and runs, and nothing like that, man. So it's been all Zoom calls. So how's that been going for you?
I joke with the guys about not flinching and the adjusting to the adjustables. Yeah. You know what I mean? But at the same time, not taking the personal love for the game away. We all know we can enjoy something, but anytime you sit in front of a camera and you have to go over and over and over, how do you stay alive? But I think the thing that I really try to challenge my guys with is be really thankful for the opportunity they have to be a professional player. A lot of guys have friends and family that, when COVID started, because of things being shut down, a lot of their work and their opportunities got affected. So I really try to get those guys to really embrace the positive of living the life as a professional athlete and those things that do come with it, even though the world is knocking consistently on your door to think about the other things. So it's just my job as a coach to try to get them to focus in and take those opportunities to get better as much as they can.
What about from a physical standpoint, man? Like, are you directing how they supposed to do certain techniques or what they need to work on Zoom? Like, how's that going? Because I'm trying to fathom how are you doing this? You haven't seen the guys at all off season.
Nah, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it is frustrating because this is a skilled profession. From being a former athlete, anytime you have to try to convince somebody or to show over and over and over again for the tape, it's actually hard for some of my learners. We all learn differently. Some guys can see it on the tape and are skilled learners and actually able to go out there and do it. Some need to physically walk through it, and some need to see it on the board. So the challenge for me as a coach is just to try to take advantage of this Zoom meetings, this Microsoft Teams as much as we could. And I have to give a shout out to our IT director here. He did whatever he could as far as giving me a surface to draw on, another sheet, another camera, as much as we could to just try to take advantage of not being next to each other, which is very difficult in the game of football.
Okay, so the position group that you coach is the cornerbacks. You have one of the top players in the league on your team, and Jalen Ramsey out of Florida State. You got him in a midseason trade last year from Jacksonville. What makes him such a great player, and what has his approach been this offseason?
I want to say I think his approach has been the same as all players this offseason, especially, let's just keep it real, all African-American athletes, especially professional football players. Yeah. It was very difficult this offseason with the nature of our country, and I think I would be a dummy to not admit the distractions that were going on. But what he tried to do is try to keep that competitive edge. For people that are not familiar with Jalen's situation, I got him in the middle of last season. So I really haven't gotten a chance to really get my hands on to, like I say, get the clay and really try to work. Everything from him has just been trusting me, or like you said, the offseason with the Zoom. My goal for him is to try to make him be a dominator, not be good, not be elite, but dominate. And the only way you do that is really challenging yourself and then trying to work on your technique every day, because if you work on those little things, when the big things happen, it's going to be easy. It's going to be flawless. So he's just trying to take advantage of what he can. Him and I are really ready to get together to work, because even though I've been with him for 8 games, this is the first offseason where we try to work with some of his tools, because he has all the natural ability.
Right. So, since the guys are just starting to come in now, you know what I mean? So you guys only want to have maybe about, if things go according to plan, maybe about 5 to 6 weeks to get ready for the season, man. Are you worried about just like the injury aspect, guys finally getting the pads and shoulder pads and helmets on, that's a different beast. Once you get that on, you running around hitting each other.
No question. You're right. Okay, let me answer the question. Say yes and no. Yes, I'm a little bit worried. I'm a little bit worried because I think anytime you're doing anything at the highest level, preparation really matters. I think the cleaner our game is, the more the guys can go out and execute. The less the sloppy the game, the less you have for injuries. The cleaner the game, the more exciting it is for the fans. So, that's where I am a little worried. But then I'm also not worried because I never got a chance to play professionally. I only played collegiately. But these guys are elite athletes. And, for those of you who have not got a chance to see some of these guys run around and be around them, 5 feet away, these guys can do some really crazy athletic things. And they can just hop up sometimes, not stretching, and go. And then you got some guys that actually need that muscle endurance, that conditioning to get them ready for the season. Right. So I got 1 foot in, 1 foot out for that. I'm a little bit worried, not for the first couple games, but for the long haul, for the sloppy ball.
This is Aubrey Pleasant, quarterbacks coach for the LA Rams, joining me right here on Crunch Time. Coach, your head coach for the LA Rams, obviously, is Sean McVay. He's one of the top brains, top innovators, I guess you can say, in the game right now. So what's the plan in terms of simulating real game action leading up to the season with no preseason games, which is crazy?
We have to just make sure we do a good job when we scrimmage. Emotions and tempers and adrenaline get going. And after guys get practicing with each other for a long time, they can't wait to practice against somebody else. I mean, it gets redundant, it gets monotonous. So we have to do a really good job of being focused when we do scrimmage, and then also really applying real situational football. So for the listeners that aren't really familiar with football, situational football is not just snapping up and going. I mean, it's 3rd and 3 at the 3. It's first and 10 at the -10. And it's 60 seconds left in the game, 2-minute situation. What are they going to try to do? What that does for an athlete is it really kind of lets him focus into that competitive nature, and it kind of brings something. I'm playing for something as opposed to just practicing. And I think that situation is whereas really focusing on our scrimmage, and I think that's something that we can try to do that we haven't in the past. For those listeners that don't know, in the past, in the camp, you really try to measure how much banging you do. You really want to be careful with guys' bodies. But I think this year we might have a little bit more of a collegiate philosophy where you take it slow and then you progress as we get ready for our first game.
Yeah, that's a good point, because in college there is no preseason game. I know you spent time with Michigan, so you guys have straight to summer camp, but then boom, you go into that first game. You know what I mean? So I know there's going to be an interesting approach going into week 1.
Yeah, it's that. I almost wanted to go back when you asked me the question about having a month before the season. Am I worried? I'm actually more worried of no preseason game, not even one, before we get going, because there is a difference between the competitive practice speed and then when the light's on, you get the pads ready, you're sweating during pregame, your mom and them in the stands, they got your honey right there, that vibe, that juice is something that's different, even if it's just a preseason game. So I'm a little bit worried about that. I'm sorry. I went to the question before, but it made me think about that.
No, you're good. It's fine, man. If you have any questions for Coach Aubrey right here, go and drop it in the comment section. I got a couple more questions for you. So as you see, a lot of guys are opting out as training camp about to get started, man. So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's smart. I think the one thing that all of us have to take into consideration, and I mean us as humans, you got to be like just under the mindset of having risk mitigation. Like, what can you do to make sure you're not affecting somebody else? And I think that's what these guys who are actually opting out are doing, is they're saying, hey, maybe it's not about me. Maybe I have a child that has asthma. Maybe I'm taking care of mama and them, and granny live downstairs. And no matter what, I can't bring something in. And I think that is very important that us as fans and as consumers, that we understand that sometimes for these guys, it's not always about them. It's about family members or about, their future. And I just think it's important that we try to see ourselves through their eyes and understand that, again, we're not asking you to wear the mask for you. We're in the same position you're in. And that's how I think. I don't think I can judge these guys for not playing. I do know it is a little different for those who you don't know. If you're a free agent and you're a rookie, you haven't gotten drafted, there's rules. Everybody doesn't have that option. So for those guys that do have that option, they're still blessed to be able to take a minimum, knowing that no matter what, they'll take it forward. It's a tough time for our country right now.
Definitely tough, man. So I got a question for you from my man, Calvin Ali out of Baltimore, Maryland. He says, who are your top three corners that are not on the Rams?
Oh, that's hard. I'm a scheme guy. I'm a scheme guy too. So I don't want to leave anybody out, but I do like. Obviously, you got to go with the boy in New England, Mr. Gilmore.
Right.
He's unbelievable. He does a little bit of everything. I have to put my boy Marcus Peters in there, man, because at the end of the day, nobody gets their hands on more than Marcus. And I'm going to go with my young boy. I'm either going to go with Marcus Lattimore in New Orleans, or I'm going to go with the young kid in Green Bay. I like him, too. Went to Louisville. His name is slipping my mind right now.
But
I like him.
Is his last name King?
No, it's King's on one side, and then you got the other one on the other side. I can't think of his name, but
because I think he had a good game against the Cowboys. Yeah.
Yes. But then, I mean, it's hard. Okay, it's hard. Why is it hard for me to answer this question? It shouldn't be this damn hard, but it's hard for me because every scheme asks corners to do different things.
Absolutely,
and
that's what a lot of people don't get too.
That's so for the listeners. At the end of the day, every offense is going to ask a receiver to run and catch the ball and block when the offense is running.
Right.
Now, the type of routes and what they ask them to do after they catch the ball is going to be differently. But as a DB, you never know what you're going to get. And I just think we have really good sticky man corners, and you got really good zone visual corners.
Right.
And I think it goes back and forth.
Okay. All right. Last question for you, Coach. You guys are 2 years removed from the Super Bowl, man. You guys didn't make the playoffs last year. What's going to take for you guys to get back on track and make the playoffs and make a deep run this season?
You got to remember the burn, man. You got to remember the hustle. You got to remember why you're doing it. That's part of the reason why I go back home to Flint every summer. If you don't remember what gave you all day, if you don't remember that fire, that motivation, what it is that pushed you for that inevitable desire to be better than the next. And there is no such thing as a championship lull. There is a sense of, we deserve this and we will be back. Does that make sense? There was no lull. We didn't do anything different. We still pushed it. We said all the right things. But there's a difference between that confidence and conceit. Confidence is gained. Conceit is just is given.
Right.
And we wanted to make sure that we came in this year with that confidence and not that conceit that we did from the year prior.
Right. Okay. We got one last question from Tony Starks. He said,
"No problem." Tony Starks. AD.
Who is the toughest receiver to man cover?
The toughest receiver to man cover. You know what? You're probably gonna laugh at me. He's out of the league. Antonio Brown. Oh man, honestly, it's Antonio, but then I think Odell is the toughest to cover man to man. Both of those guys, if you get wide threw both of their names out, you can put them in the slot, you can put them at the X, you can put them at the Z, you can put them at any position, and they can highlight their talents. That's right. Yeah. And I don't want to take anything away. I mean, you have some aliens, you got some real aliens out there. But those two guys give me headaches because you got to make sure, you keep an eye on them no matter where they are. But there are a lot of other good receivers out there. I'm just throwing those two.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey, before we get out of here, man, I just want to give a shout out to Will, who connected us, man. Fellow Badger for you guys.
Yes.
He put me on. He's been a big, huge fan of the podcast so far. And bro, just to be 100% honest with you, killed it today, man. You gave me great insight. People not really hear anywhere else because not a lot of people are interviewing coaches right now, so I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule, man. I know you're out there in LA. You about to get your guys ready for the team, so thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to talk to me, man. Seriously.
No problem. I got two things. One, I see somebody down there that said no Julio. Yes, but Julio's a freak show. Julio's a freak show. Like, he's in there too. All right. Julio's in there too. Julio's in there too. But no, I just want to encourage you when you get these guys and they're talking ball, man, talking football. A lot of times we get so caught up in what we do, we forget that hey, everybody don't understand, everybody don't see.
Exactly.
As much as I could, I appreciate it. If there's ever anything I can do in the future to help, man, much kudos to you. I like what you're doing.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you, man. We'll talk soon, okay?
No problem. All right,
thanks, man. Appreciate you.
Take care.
Yep.
Peace.
All right, y'all, that was Coach Aubrey Pleasant, the cornerbacks coach for the LA Rams, and that'll do it for this week's show. So I want to thank everybody for joining in. If you have any questions or any concerns about this show, just let me know in the comment section. Let me know how I can get better, how I can make this show better. If you are listening to the podcast, make sure you subscribe to the Crunch Time Podcast on Apple Podcasts and also Spotify, and also look me up on YouTube. So for this week's episode, for myself, Benjamin Bullock, and all three of my guests for today, thank you for joining me. I'll check y'all out next week. I'm still trying to figure out what direction I want to go. in terms of what we're going to do for next week's show. So much love to y'all. Y'all be blessed. Thank y'all. Appreciate you.